how to summon Lucifer, and everything you need to know about it. Hey, what's up? My name's Excel, and I teach you how to talk to the universe. So there's a lot of misconceptions about Lucifer, and one of the things is that Lucifer is automatically evil when you interact with them, and that's actually not true. Lucifer is a solar deity. That means that Lucifer is tied to the sun is tied to spirit, so that's tied to your 11th chakra. Your 11th chakra is all about mind over matter. So the first thing you got to understand when it comes to Lucifer is that he teaches you how to control matter with your actual mind. This is very similar to the tree of life with the concept of Tiferet, which is also ruled by the sun that rules over mind over matter. Now, the catch-22 when you're working with Lucifer is that he gives you desires that are incomplete. So he will teach you how to bend matter with your mind and how to manifest very quickly, but your manifestations are always going to be a little bit off. If you wanted to have a huge house with a quiet neighborhood and have all specific amenities, you might get the amenities, you might get the big ass house, and then you will have a very noisy neighborhood. There's always something missing when you work with Lucifer because you're basically giving your power to an external form of spirit to manifest for you. And that always has a flaw, basically. So like when you manifest from yourself and you're not relying on another spirit to manifest for you, then you will get the house with the amenities and the quiet space, right? So Lucifer will always give you just a little bit so that you keep coming back and you want to keep working with Lucifer. Lucifer is fully aware that if you end up getting 100% of your manifestation, why would you come back? And you could say, okay, well, if he does give me 100% of my manifestation, I will come back, but that's not always the case. A lot of alchemists will just work with dark spirits for like one particular goal and then they abandon it. So a lot of the dark spirits are fully aware of the human nature of wanting to use spirits and other people to get what you want. That's why Lucifer in particular will always just give you a little bit so that you come back and you start manifesting again to fill in the gaps of your manifestations. And because you're doing that, you're always creating new manifestations that still have a ton of gaps associated to them. So when I've summoned Lucifer, I have literally seen so many different things come to fruition while missing key elements to those same manifestations, which then has made me realize that Lucifer is actually really powerful, but he's kind of like a trickster, very similar to Loki, and I can understand how he uses pride against you. So he actually controls the seed of pride and the seed of rashness. Rashness is running into things without really calculating and thinking about how this is going to play out, right? So like if you just run into war without seeing the stats of your enemy, then you're going to lose the war because you're just going in blind. So like that's that rashness concept. He tends to bring in a lot of drama that are associated to your desires so that you become rash. So for instance, if you have a partner and you're trying to grow your relationship with that partner while you're summoning Lucifer, you'll notice that there's a bunch of small things that come up in your relationship that make you feel like you almost want to react too quickly, right? Like you guys get into a fight and you suddenly want to end it without thinking about what the actual fight was about, or maybe, you just become very baseline subjective or like a slave to your own desires. So a lot of times when people work with Lucifer, especially if you're working with Lucifer in your relationships, you'll end up realizing that you have like this uncontrollable desire to maybe just have sex constantly or to be a different version of yourself that you normally wouldn't show up as if you were not summoning Lucifer, which if you're not careful, that can impact your relationships because especially if you're doing it in the terms of love, that tantric energy that you circulate with your partner will then start being introduced to Lucifer even if your partner does not practice magic. But needless to say, like Lucifer is great for getting you sex, getting you money, getting you for fame, and also growing your capability of understanding how all manifestations are flawed. It doesn't really matter what manifestation you're coming in from. Even if you work with the highest of the highest light spirits, there's always a flaw in your manifestation because you don't understand how to really articulate yourself clearly into the cosmos. And that's one of the things that Lucifer, I think, is really great at. He'll say, oh, well, you asked for, somebody who is amazing at their job and they're really proficient in helping you do your stuff, but you never clarify that this person always has to show up on time or is reliable. So then that forces you to kind of like adjust, and it can be definitely very annoying because you're like, man, this is not what I meant, but it forces you to learn how to actually talk to the cosmos so that you get exactly what you want. eventually you do overcome Lucifer. Now when you manifest Lucifer, Lucifer is like this random ass energy that's all around you, and you can see it start interacting with other people. Like you'll see that they'll start talking about Luciferian stuff or the Bible or angels or demons. That's like one of the first keys that you end up realizing when you're summoning Lucifer, is like people start just randomly talking about these things, or like your Netflix will start showing you Luciferian subjected, stuff like shows and stuff like that. So it's really important to, when you decide to summon Lucifer, it's more so just knowing that Lucifer is constantly always listening to you. It doesn't really matter if you're doing it at nighttime, in the middle of the day. He's constantly listening to everything that you're saying. And you just need to use your free will to invite him to interact with your reality. Now, you use your free will in small little ways. You basically end up saying, hey, Lucifer, I want you to help me manifest this particular thing. So I invite you into my reality so I can manifest that. And I'm manifesting that within a specific time frame, okay? If you just say, hey, Lucifer, come into my life and teach me, he can stay forever. But if you say you're just going to be in my aura for the next 2 months until I get this particular job done, then you have a time frame that you can work on. And in 3 months, Lucifer has to leave your energy system. That's one of the things that a lot of people, when they get into the dark arts, don't understand. Time is actually a power for you. If you set a time limit, then you will eventually get rid of that demon or that entity that you're working with. And that works with high light beings and dark beings as well. So it's really important to set a parameter and be clear. I want you to help me get a new career within the next 3 months, okay? And then after that, we're done working. That puts a little bit of pressure on Lucifer to actually produce something. Lucifer is kind of like a con man in a way, where he doesn't always have to do something, or he won't do something if it's not pressing, right? And if his ego or his personal power isn't at risk, right? So basically, if you say, in the next 3 months, I'm working with you to do this, he's going to show up and be like, I'm going to make that manifest. So you can see that not only is Lucifer real, but Lucifer can actually manifest for you. And then that's where you start actually understanding the psychology of demons. Demons think with their ego. They're primarily ego driven, even though they're still celestial beings. So demons are not necessarily always evil. They just think for self-service, right? What am I going to get out of it if I do help you, right? And that's not necessarily evil. It's just there's no benevolence there to just kindly help you like an angel would. An angel would just be like, hey, I see you're suffering. Do you need my help? Do you want my help for free? And you say, yeah, right? So this is one of the things that you really have to understand when you're summoning Lucifer and you're working with him, is you need to have parameters, you need to be clear, and you need to understand the nature of not just him, but all the other demons that work under him. Because sometimes he'll try to send you off to another demon by saying, oh, you know what? I could do this thing for you, but I think it's more better if you work with XXX demon, which that can be okay. If you kind of do your research and you see, okay, maybe you're right. Lucifer says that this demon is better because this demon is wired to career moves more than Lucifer is. But the thing is, Lucifer will also try to get rid of his work onto other lower demons that may not be as proficient in the craft that they're doing. So it's really, really important for you to kind of feel into your intuition, especially when Lucifer tries to bring in new characters into the equation, because the more demons that are associated in your aura or in any project, the more error could happen in it, because demons come with a positive and a negative trait. Sometimes they come in with a really high positive vibration that doesn't really cause any negativity at all, or the negativity is so little that it doesn't really matter anyway. And then other times those demons will come in and then they give you stuff, but they also cause a ton of chaos at the same exact time. So it's really important to kind of tune into yourself before you switch your vibration from working with Lucifer onto another spirit. Now, the most important thing about working with Lucifer that I personally realized is that he's always going to show up in some way, shape, or form. Lucifer's already shown up in your reality without you realizing it, because you probably just haven't been aware that it is actually Lucifer interacting with you. So that every time you've had a rash impulse or impulsive, I'm just going to do this, or I feel really prideful and I'm going to do that, Lucifer has been there. When you've had a really deep desire that you even say, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get that desire, Lucifer has been present. So you need to be aware that he's part of your consciousness. It's not this external being that's coming to interact with you. Lucifer already flows through you and talks to you. Especially when you first summon Lucifer, you're going to notice that as he comes through, he's going to work with you for let's say 3 months, right? To get you the career. And then after 3 months, you may not see him, feel him, or have him in your aura until like next year. And then next year, suddenly you start seeing Lucifer's image, his sigil, you start hearing his name everywhere. You can feel his essence all around you, and he'll show up just to be like, I can do something else for you. You just have to ask, what do you want? Let me know, right? When Lucifer starts actually showing up at random trying to give you stuff, that's a really great sign, because that shows you that he sees that you're somebody that has the potential to generate the results that he can generate. So like, there are really weak alchemists and shamans that work with the spirits and they barely end up manifesting anything in real life, while other shamans and alchemists will work with the spirit, and then the spirit sees that that person has the potential to actually use that spirit's power. So Lucifer will be like, oh, I see that you're really good at manifesting with what I can do for you. Hey, you want to keep working together? And at that point, it's always going to be a case by case basis with Lucifer. Never make a contract for life with Lucifer unless you're willing to like completely worship Lucifer. Lifelong contracts with any spirit has a level of like devotion and consistency. You can't say I want to work with Lucifer for my entire life and then just choose, 2 weeks from now that you're not going to do it, right? Because that's a lifelong soul contract. So it's really important to never enter a soul contract with Lucifer unless that's your vibe, right? Unless that's what you want. And whenever Lucifer does show up, keep in mind the construct of the terms. Like, okay, we can work with a second project. This time, this project's going to last 6 months and it's for X, Y, and Z. Study your last manifestation, what went wrong when you worked with Lucifer, and adjust every time you work with Lucifer. If you don't do that, you're going to continuously be in a cycle, repeating the same mistakes, repeating the same energies, and you're going to notice that it doesn't really get you anywhere and it feels really, really annoying. Now, there's nothing wrong with working with Lucifer. Some people, by default, have more of a dark nature, and like working with Lucifer is really powerful because he'll teach you all the structures of hell. If you become friends with Lucifer, people who become friends with Lucifer do not worship Lucifer and they don't depend on Lucifer, okay? So I don't worship Lucifer. I occasionally work with Lucifer, right? So a couple years ago, I worked with him. He brought me love interest. He brought me a ton of money. He brought me a ton of sex. He brought me a ton of opportunities. He brought me fame. He brought me all these different things. But there was constantly like a drain. Like, I wanted more, or this manifestation was flawed and I got to go fix it. And like, oh yeah, okay, like this relationship lasted for a short amount of time. It was great. Why didn't it like go longer, right? And it just kind of brings this energy of like consistent adjustment, consistent growth, consistent like analysis. But that gets really tiring after a while. And then that's when you need to realize, okay, well, I don't need Lucifer for anything. Like, I understand his vibration. Cool, whatever. Like, if one day, 40 years from now I need him, I'll summon him. But Lucifer is going to always have this vibration of like, kind of like a salesman. Like, he's always going to show up in your dreams or somewhere at random times, like it may not be like every week, but it might be like every year he'll show up just to give you like a good pitch and see if you're going to buy his product. And if you're aware that, okay, I'm not signing up for a subscription, right, with Lucifer. I'm just like, every year I need to stock up on something, this year I don't need it because I have backup, you start thinking about it as a transaction on Amazon, eBay, or anything else. Like, he's a vendor and you can choose whether or not you want to pay his prices or if you want to just go to somebody else, because Lucifer can manifest things for you, but so can another demon or a higher spirit can. It's just going to be a different mode of operation for you to work with that particular deity, right? So Lucifer himself, like, I think is a great vibration. Most people are going to tell you don't do it, like, and they're going to have all their bullshit narratives about black magic and demonology. It's only the people that don't actually practice demonology or work with the dark arts that are always going to give you that, like, oh my God, the horror movie situation. You're going to end up in a really shitty place and this is going to happen to you and yada, 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 right? That's not something you really want to pay attention to. If anyone's telling you anything about fear, then you know that that person doesn't have experience. So when you actually work with Lucifer, you don't have fear. You just more so get annoyed because he's always trying to sell you something and he always falls short. So you're like, I don't really need to work with you, right? No, if you give him no power, that actually makes him like you more. And it's almost like this law of attraction. Like, when you like someone, but you treat them like you don't really care about them, then they somehow want to put more attention and energy into you. So that's one of the things that I would really highly recommend that you pay attention to. Now, the way you summon Lucifer, I already gave you the tip of like, setting the parameters of how long you want to work with. But I would tell you, draw the sigil of Lucifer. There's one specific Lucifer sigil that you can work with. Draw that sigil, get it on a piece of paper, write your intention, and then light a candle. The colors for Lucifer are red and white. Sometimes you can use black too. But get a red, white, or black candle, light it, and then give him some sort of offering. So you can give him a little bit of blood. You can give him toys that you use in your tantric practices, your sexual practices. Herbal mix. You can do like giving him liquor, stuff like that. Whatever comes from your heart that you feel is in resonance with Lucifer is much more powerful than finding an online spell trying to tell you, okay, you need to give him Star of Anise and this and that and that, okay? Those spells do work, but in my opinion, doing shamanism for like over 20 something years now, when you tune into the deity and you think about the deity and you think about their sigil and you think about what you want them to help with, you keep in the forefront of your mind like who they are and what you've learned about them while still keeping an open mind as to like, I could be completely wrong. Then you like start picking ingredients. It can be stuff that's in your house, stuff that you have to buy. It doesn't really matter. A lot of like spell casters will say like you need to buy like really expensive ingredients. That's not true at all. You just need to make sure that it's in alignment with the resonance, right? So I can go into my kitchen and tune to Lucifer, thinking about Lucifer, what my manifestations are going to come through. And I can hear, okay, give him a shot of whiskey that you have on your counter. Give him a chocolate bar that you have in the fridge. Adorn the altar with more red stuff, right? I'll hear or I'll feel or know or feel like this draw to want to do that. And then when I do it and I summon Lucifer, it gets even more powerful. He actually shows up because you're developing your own relationship with Lucifer, not the same regurgitated like formulas that other people have done. And that's why it's really important to understand like even the greatest alchemists like Aleister Crowley, they have had formulas that have worked for them and people who are at their vibrational level. But sometimes you need to create your own formula, and that's the secret to like especially the dark arts. Like when you do your own formulas that actually resonate and show you results, the dark spirits like you more than people who don't take that route. And it's really important to keep that in the forefront of your mind because that's what's actually going to make you have a relationship, a friendship with Lucifer. Lucifer is one of those people he's my friend, but I only see him whenever we're at a joint party. We got invited to the same event and I saw him, hey, what's up, what's going on? But I barely call him, I barely text him, and I'm definitely almost never inviting him into my house, especially inviting him into my house because I have a family structure that I don't want to be damaging or like tainting in any way, shape, or form. So summoning Lucifer is very easy. It's just the consistency. If you're gonna work with him for a year and you're brand new to energy work, have a consistent altar, have a consistent time, have a consistent practice. Like every day at your altar at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're going to summon Lucifer, meditate with Lucifer, let him give you messages, write down those messages. If you're in an energy healing with someone and you're okay testing these energies out, you can ask your client, hey, are you okay with me using Luciferian energies just to see how they help you manifest your reality, right? Some clients will actually say yes because they're not afraid of it, and some clients are going to say no. So the ones that say yes, definitely ethically work on that person and be like, okay, I'm going to summon the energy of Lucifer. Now, when you're really, really mastered with the energy of Lucifer, you can summon Lucifer as a quantum field. It's not even Lucifer as the character anymore. It's Lucifer as the energetic frequency. So you know how when you do Reiki, you summon energy in from the top of your head down through your hands, right? Like you could do the same thing with Luciferian energy. And in quantum Reiki and Antojai shamanism, you learn how to grab energies and frequencies just from thin air, pretty much. And then when you get really adept with working with Lucifer, it's just a little energy that you can apply in anything. You can create an environment around you that's Luciferian, and then Lucifer will start playing games with people around you depending on what you want to know. You can use it to like pump energy healing to a person with just Lucifer's energy flowing through them directly. Now, when you use the energy, Lucifer's consciousness is not involved. Like he's just not there. But his whole potentiality as a nature is. So like solar potentiation. Lucifer is also about fractalization. So he teaches you a lot about how the matrix continuously divides itself to create more and more and more of itself. So like in a way, Lucifer will teach you how to do like infinity magic by dividing and separating things over and over and over again. If you feel like you've been possessed by Lucifer and you can't get rid of Lucifer out of your reality, this is the easiest way to get rid of him. It really just comes back to wholeness. If Lucifer is all about fractalization and dividing, right, then you have to stop the dividing and come back to wholeness. Lucifer strays further away from God because of all of his desires. So he creates more and more desires that are not in alignment directly with God. And that's why it causes all these like imbalances in his own reality. So when you feel like Lucifer won't leave your reality, or he's possessing you or possessing someone else, you help yourself or the client find wholeness. If I don't need anything, if I have no desire that needs to be fulfilled by Lucifer because I know I'm whole and I am one with God, then Lucifer literally has to eject out of your reality because he cannot fragment, he cannot divide your reality anymore so that you're dependent on him. Sometimes when you stop working with Lucifer, if you've been working with him for a very long time and you kind of like just cut him off by going back into your wholeness, he's going to try to like retaliate and take away some of the manifestations that are not completely solidified in your reality. So it's really good to like make sure that your manifestations are gridlocked before you decide not to work with Lucifer, because he could take them away and it could kind of like set you back a little bit. If you want to talk to all the spirits of the cosmos, whether light or dark, check out the Antojai Quantum Reiki Tarot. It's got everything you need. It's a tarot hybrid with an oracle deck. So it's beyond tarot, beyond oracle. It is like a thing of its own. You can still use it for tarot. You can still use it for oracle, but it's going to teach you something beyond any other divination techniques that you ever tried in the world. Links are going to be in the description below. I'm sending you all the love, and I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and follow.